What's up, everyone? I am Ben with the Fantasy Scholars, and today is 6 days away from the NFL Draft. I don't know about you guys, but here we are super hyped. It seems like after free agency, we need some more football coming our way, and the draft is going to bring exactly that. So what I'm going to do today is break down my top 5 prospects for the draft at the wide receiver position, all right? I'm going to be talking about these guys in terms of what I think is going to happen with them fantasy-wise, all right? And that's going to look a little bit different than what I think about them just as prospects, and I'll kind of explain that as I go, all right? So I want to kick this right off. Super pumped for this. Number 1, I have Ja'Marr Chase from LSU. So if you had watched some videos that we put out a while back, you would actually have seen that I made a video about DEVONTA Smith from Alabama being my top wide receiver in the past. And I've actually changed my mind on that for a few reasons. So first of all, let's not pretend that Ja'Marr Chase isn't freaking awesome, because he absolutely is. All right. He took 2020 off because of COVID, but in 2019, he had 84 catches for 1,780 yards. Okay, 20 touchdowns. That means he was averaging over 21 yards per catch, which is incredible. You look at this guy's tape, and it is just big play after big play after big play, and it is fantastic. It's incredible to see him play. Something I like about him, that everyone else likes about him in the fantasy community, he is almost certainly going to be the first receiver off the board with how talk is of him right now and the hype around him. I expect him to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. He could even be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. That wouldn't be surprising at all. In terms of him as a prospect, okay, Chase is he's an extremely prototypical wide receiver 1. Okay, so he's got the size, he's got the ability to high point the ball at the point of the catch. He has incredible body control to beat out cornerbacks when that ball is coming his way. Not to mention, he just ran a 4.3 at his pro day, and that's just mind-blowing for his size, okay? He's not to mention he's a great route runner. He has great hands. He can catch the ball in places that you really don't expect him to be able to do. So one of the reason that I actually have put him above DEVONTA Smith as well is because I'm a little worried that Smith's size will make it so that NFL teams don't use him as the wide receiver 1 that he might be able to be with his route running profile. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but Chase doesn't have that problem because he has this prototypical look and size of an NFL receiver. I think following after guys like DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson, who have come right out of college at their size and made immediate significant impact for their NFL team, I think Chase has a really good chance to do the same thing, especially considering what I expect his draft capital to be. All right, that's enough about Chase. Moving on to my number 2 prospect, it is DeVonta Smith from the Alabama Crimson Tide, all right? So we all know DeVonta Smith is awesome, or at least I hope we do, because this guy is the first wide receiver to win the Heisman Trophy in 29 years. And listen, the numbers I just told you about Ja'Marr Chase, 84 catches, 1,780 yards, those are incredible, absolutely incredible. Here's the thing, though. DeVonta Smith caught 117 balls in 2020. That's more than 30 additional catches to what Ja'Marr Chase had. He also had 1,856 yards, an extra 76 yards to what Chase had as well. He had caught 23 receiving touchdowns last year. So Smith is actually my favorite prospect, pure football prospect, coming out of this class because of his route running, okay? He is an incredible route runner, in my opinion, the best in the class, but he's also so much more than that. He has this crazy ability to high point balls and to maintain body control despite his smaller stature. Okay, he's got shiftiness, and he's got this tackle avoiding ability after the catch that makes it so that he can pick up lots of yards when he does have the ball in his hands. And as shown from his 117 catches last year, he has the reliability that you really want out of a number 1 overall receiver. But like I said when I was talking about Chase, I just have some worry that teams won't use him like he might thrive the most and really feed him targets because of that size. And I'm also worried that actually NFL QBs might not willing to feed him as much because they see a little bit smaller of a target. And even though I expect him to be creating great separation, I think there might be a little bit of a mental block with a few of the QBs. Just look at even last year with Jerry Jeudy, who so many people thought was going to be the best receiver in the class. He still might be. We'll see. Henry Ruggs, who was actually the first wide receiver drafted in the class, they made a lot less of an impact than Justin Jefferson, than T. Higgins. And they're smaller guys. It was thought that they were fantastic route runners, but it didn't really make that difference when they were playing. So that's why I have Smith at my 2, even though I actually like him a little bit more as a receiver. At number 3, I have RASHOD Bateman out of Minnesota. Okay, Bateman's another guy who definitely has that size. His 2020 was cut short because of COVID, but he's 6'3", around 210 pounds. He's really got that Higgins, A.J. Brown, maybe not Brown type size, but his build is that which would definitely make an NFL team ready immediately to put him on the outside and to see how he runs as the number 1 or number 2 receiver on the team. He's shifty. He's a great route runner. He has really impressive speed for his size as well. He's got great hands, like I've talked about with Chase. He makes catches all over the place. He's got an amazing catch radius, which I love to see. And actually really similarly to Chase as well. Maybe not as good as Chase, but his ability to adjust to balls coming in on deep passes, especially down the sideline, is something that I was really impressed with when I was watching Bateman. So I like him at number 3. I think an NFL team is really going to like him and really going to be willing to utilize him out of the gate. Number 4 is Jalen Waddle, and I am super, super excited to talk about this guy because Waddle, if there's one word to describe him, it's electric. Okay, and listen, we hear this used with a bunch of football players all the time. Electric, he's electric, he's electric. But when you watch Jalen Waddle, he looks like he is a man amongst boys with the defenders he's playing, and he is playing the best competition in college football, hands down, as he's coming out of Alabama, right? The only problems that I have, so I have similar worries with Waddle as I do with Smith. Waddle is around 5'10", 180, so he's got a little bit smaller of a frame as well. But besides that, he's got an injury history. So he's never really played a complete full season. But what is there on tape is incredible with Waddle. He actually reminds me a little bit of Deontay Johnson on the Pittsburgh Steelers with how shifty he is and how good he is at not only breaking tackles, but using his blockers to really maximize the gains he's getting after he has the ball in his hands. But the funny thing is, though he might look like Johnson in terms of his lateral agility, he blows someone like Deontay Johnson out of the water with his speed. With his top speed is absolutely unparalleled, not only in this draft class, but amongst most wide receivers in the NFL. I don't want NFL coaches to get pigeonholed by that fact and think that they need to use him as only a field stretcher, because he's absolutely not just that. We'll see what happens, but Waddle absolutely has the potential to be the best receiver in this class. It's just going to come down to usage like the rest of these guys. Then at number 5, my last guy on this list, I have TERRACE Marshall Jr., right? Wide receiver out of LSU. So this guy played as the number 2 behind Jamar Chase. He came in and filled that Justin Jefferson role this past season in 2020. His stats looked like 48 catches for 731 yards and 10 touchdowns, all right? we're going back to the size argument. And it's, again, I want to emphasize this isn't something that I am super worried about. I don't think it's a huge problem. But as long as it's something that NFL teams use to dictate the targets that are going to these wide receivers, it's something that we as fantasy managers have to pay attention to. And Marshall has great size. He's 6'3", 210 as well. He reminds me a bit of Allen Robinson. He's extremely sure-handed. You can trust him deep, intermediate, and short on the field. You know that he's going to be there to catch the ball and pick up the first down that you need at the sticks. He's a good route runner. He has really impressive lateral agility and acceleration to get out of the short field and into the open field once he's catching the ball over the middle. He's not quite as electric as the guys above him on this list, which is why I have him ranked down here. But I think he absolutely still has all the tools that it will take to become a really good NFL wide receiver. Even if not a number one, he can definitely be a great number 2 wide receiver. So that's what I got for these prospects, guys. We're definitely going to be coming out with a lot of content after the draft because landing spot means so much for what these guys' production is going to look like in the NFL afterwards. So definitely subscribe, comment below, tell me if I'm crazy with this list, tell me where I'm wrong, tell me where I'm right. Want to hear from you guys. One other thing I want to say, anyone who's interested in fantasy baseball, we have a fantasy baseball channel as well. So make sure you look up Fantasy Scholars Baseball and subscribe there if you're interested in that. All right, guys, thanks a lot, and I will see you next time.